What's up, you guys? It's the Yugioh here, coming at you guys with a Banlist prediction video. I'm also going to be making a Banlist wish list video on my next video, but for now, I just wanted to kind of talk about what kind of stuff could happen on the ban list, because, I'm very curious, and I think there's a few problems in the game, but honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I think the game is pretty balanced right now, and I don't think there's too much stuff we need to really hit, but there is some things that definitely need to be done so that way we can have more decks be more competitive, because so far in this format it's getting a little stale. I know, I feel it, everybody feels it. The format's pretty stale, although I have to say it's one of the better formats we've had in a while. I mean, it was better than the Pepe format. I think the Duelist Alliance format was probably one of the best formats we ever had, but not all formats can be like that. So with that said, let's get straight into the ban list prediction. So, the first card I wanted to talk about was Card of Demise. I think this card is very degenerate in the fact that it promotes the type of gameplay that is just lock your opponent out of Yu-Gi-Oh! And don't let them play. And the downfall is that it gets you so much advantage and cards that say you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! That it actually works out very, very well. It's so plus. It's ridiculous. And there's a lot of decks that can actually use it, which is the kind of thing that it's kind of sad that I really liked. You can play so many decks with it. You can play decks like Cliffort, Cosmos, Satellar Knights, Yosenjus, Spellbooks, and even Counter Fairies and Shaddolls. So to address the elephant in the room, I wanted to say that Card of Demise has done so much for these older decks that it seems really great. But at the same time, I think that the bad outweighs the good when your deck is able to just generate so much advantage of just, you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! You can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! You can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! That, the card is definitely ban-worthy. Personally, I think that the card should just be outright banned, because I don't think cards like that should be at 3. I don't think that cards like this should be at either 2 or 1. And the reason is because at 3, you can expect it. At 1, the Demise decks won't see much play. But when they do, you're going to get sacked by that one copy of Demise, and you're going to get irritated and salty. So we're going to take a poll here. Let me know what you guys think. Should Demise be at 1? Should it be at 3? Or should it be completely banned? That's what you guys decide. Now let's continue with the discussion. Alright, so the next few cards I want to talk about were going to be from Cosmos, because I think Cosmos is somewhat of a problem, and although it has lost popularity in the last few weeks, it does not mean that this deck does not need to be dealt with. And the reason is because it warps our format to the point where certain decks and cards cannot even be played at all. And the reason is because you have huge beaters that not only can be summoned with ease, but they can't even be targeted, and they can also gain really strong effects when summoned, and they can replace themselves when they die, which is quite a big problem. I think Dark Destroyer and Cosmotown are the two cards specifically that I would like to talk about. I think that Cosmotown, similar to Sacrifice, has so many good effects going for it that it definitely doesn't need to be at 1. The fact that it replaces itself is absolutely, ridiculous. If it didn't replace itself, I would probably say, maybe it's fine, but the fact that it replaces itself gives it way too much value. That's the real catcher for me. Not only that, but it gives you a mulligan when Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game where we don't naturally have mulligans. And not only that, but it gets you back your banished cards once per turn, so that way you can either use them to kill your opponent to gain advantage, or you can also just shuffle those back into your deck to not only be able to set up more tin can plays, but also to be able to mulligan to get your traps or other good cards. You can draw into E-Tally that way. So there's a lot of reasons why I think this deck does need to get hit, just so that way the competitive scene can see a little bit of rise of more cards. I think they just really messed up when they made the cards so easy to summon and gave them such good effects. I think that's the most broken part of Cosmos. But, I don't want to kill the deck too much, because it seems like the deck, once you figure out how to play against it, it's not the worst deck in the world to play against. It's just that it makes certain decks just unplayable, which is very, very sad. So I definitely see Cosmos as a deck that definitely needs to get hit. I'm not sure what you guys think, but let me know in the comment section what you guys think should get hit from Cosmos. Do you guys think that Dark Destroyer should get hit? Do you think it should stay at 3? Or the same thing goes for Cosmotown. Do you think that Cosmotown should get hit or stay at 3? I personally would like to see both those cards go to 1, and I think the deck would be completely fine the way it is. But if there's anything else in the deck you guys think should get hit, let me know. Maybe you guys think Tin Can should get hit or Farm Girl. But it's really up to you guys and decide what you guys think. But personally, I just think those two cards should get hit. I feel like they're single-handedly the two best cards in the deck, and definitely need to see something happen to them in order for other decks to actually be able to be competitive. But that's my opinions, and again, I'd like to hear you guys' opinions, so let me know in the comment section below, and we will continue on with the next deck in our discussion. So the next deck I want to talk about is pendulums, or at least perform pals, and the different kind of variants that can go along with them. I feel that the deck is not too bad right now. It's been dealt with quite a bit actually, but it still sees a lot of play and is arguably one of the best decks in the game and can top so easily. It's still one of the best decks. It doesn't really have a bad matchup anywhere, not particularly any great matchups, but it's a very balanced deck. It's probably the most balanced deck in the format right now. But I think that there's still a little bit needs to be done about the pendulum deck, or at least perform pals, like I said. So the first thing I can think of is monkey board. Maybe monkey board should just be banned. I think that access to monkey board gives you so much more options, considering, you can play Sky Iris plays. It's a really low scale. You can summon other monsters and all of that, but it searches something immediately when you play it. And with stuff like Odd Eyes Vortex, you can shuffle it back. Although that's not the only problem I see in the deck. It's such a sorcerer. Sorcerer, I think, in the OCG, if you look at it, they hit sorcerer and it pretty much completely died. You have to mix in a lot of other engines, and it's no longer just a perform pal deck with other, like a slight engine splashed in. It's like a engine with perform pal. It's like a deck with a perform pal engine slightly splashed in. It's not as heavily reliant on its perform pal parts, because those decks search and just draw so much. It gives you a lot of advantage, where other pendulum decks do not get that kind of advantage. Cleaveboard is a little bit different because the cards aren't necessarily that broken. It's the traps that they use, whereas like the perform pal deck can use really good traps, and it has just really good monsters and really good pendulum cards. So I think that monkey board definitely could get hit. But another card that could definitely, I see getting hit, would be Kieran. I think Kieran's very, very broken, and it kills decks like BA, and it just kills so much decks. And I think that maybe Kieran should also be hit to 1. I think it would highly decrease the consistency of the deck if you just hit Kieran to 1. So for me, I think my 2 hits on the deck, at least for right now, would just be the monkey board. I think it should just be banned. I think the deck, it might kill the deck, but I think as long as Sorcerer's still around, the deck will be decent. You got to play a little smarter and be a little bit more resource management, or use a little bit more resource management, sorry. And then Kieran to 1, because Kieran would be a good limit to the boss monster, and the access to just an easy out to so many good decks like BA, just absolutely kill him. And a lot of rogue decks. And I mean, I don't want to ban Kieran because I think that would be too much for Magic spectators, but I can honestly see that you could completely ban Sorcerer and Monkey Board, and Perform Pals wouldn't be playable, but then Kieran would be splashed into other decks. So you might as well hit the nail on the head right now. But those would be my 2 hits for the deck, just Kieran and Monkey Board. But let me know what you guys think about the deck and what you guys would hit. And with that said, let's continue on to the next deck in our discussion video. So the next deck is Monarchs, a very big deck. It's probably the best deck in the format. And I know that you guys know about Stormforth and Pantheism, but I don't think those are actually the truest, biggest problems in the deck. I think Aether is probably the biggest problem the deck has right now. Or at least the biggest problem the deck presents to the other decks in the format. And my argument is that, yes, Stormforth is broken, but it wouldn't be as broken if you didn't have Aether to be able to use Stormforth on your opponent's turn. See, that's why I think it's very hard, because it's harder to deal with Stormforth on your turn than it is to set up your board and then your opponent activates Stormforth and you negate it because you have a trap or you have a monster that you had to put forth, where Aether can kind of block that out by using Stormforth in combination with itself. Not only that, but Aether can send Pantheism to grave, which sets up the whole thing immediately. And not only that, I think the biggest problem that Aether presents is the fact that it can summon itself. Then that means that you can continuously keep using Aether over and over. It can also tutor out any other monarch that you need, like you need an Erebus, you need a Thestalos or something like that. But most of the time, you're going to be getting an Aether with the other Aether, so that way you can keep using Aether over and over again. And that's what I think, or at least therein lies the problem that I feel with Monarchs, is it's not just Pantheism and Stormforth and Domain and all these cards. It's the combination of them with Aether and Erebus being so strong. Mostly Aether for being able to tutor out other cards. I mean, I think the Erebus is fine because it gives the deck non-targeting removal, which is super important. I think every deck should be able to have that. So I have no quarrel with Erebus. Plus, he's cool because he gets back stuff from grave when he's in grave, and it's a quick effect, so that's really awesome. But Aether being able to, like I said, just get itself and set up is so crazy when you add it with something like Return. it's just amazing. So especially because if you can use it with Mithra on the first turn, it's just so broken. So I think that's the real problem. But let me know what you guys think. You guys think Aether's fine? I think Aether should go to 2, at least for now, and then maybe put Pantheism and Stormforth at 1. I think that would be pretty balanced. Although personally, I feel like hitting something like Pantheism takes away consistency from a deck that actually needs it, and Stormforth taking that away gives it basically takes away the niche deck thing the deck has to be able to take care of other boss monsters that are very threatening. So I think the Aether is really the most broken card in the deck, and if you took it away from them, you'd be forcing them to play other monarchs, the original monarchs, which is not bad, but it doesn't, like, it's not more abusable with stuff like Pantheism, stuff like that, and Erebus can still dump those cards. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below, and let's move on to the rest of our discussion video. So we're going to be talking about Burning Abyss, as that's the last deck. So my problem here with Burning Abyss is that it's been around for so long and it's so good, and it has not really received much of a hit. The hits on Sir and Graf, like, honestly, are not that much. They're very tutorable, especially now with Beatrice. You know, when we didn't have Beatrice, those hits were completely fine, in my opinion. But now that we have Beatrice, it's such a toolbox, because you don't have to randomly mill and get lucky and hit those cards. You can now just send them and get them instantly, and then Dante goes to grave and you get them right back, and you keep looping everything over and over. So this is why I truly think that Dante is the card that needs to get hit. You know, I know a lot of you guys out there, my BA subscribers, I know you guys don't want Dante to get hit. And you guys have kind of yelled at me a little bit before that in the past, and I completely understand that. But I think maybe you guys are being a little bit too biased towards BA. If you've tested the deck with only one Dante, it's still pretty good. Some people were arguing that, you know, cherries and stuff like that. But there is a whole paradox with cherries. Simo made a video on it, where if people are playing cherries, then people might not play Burning Abyss. But then if people aren't playing Burning Abyss, then cherries will move out of the extra deck. And then in that situation, people can play now play Burning Abyss again. So there is a paradox there. And for those of you that don't like Dante getting hit, I think that there is an alternative, although personally, I think that it's Dante that should go to 1. And I mean, you can still play, like, it won't be as bad as you think it is. But if you guys don't like that, then the alternative would be to put Beatrice at 1, and then you would move Sir to 1, and you would also move Skarm to 1. That way you can't use Beatrice to abuse your Dantes, you can't use Sir to abuse Dantes over and over again, and hitting Skarm to 1 would slow the deck down to where you know, you could still make it, or you can still send it with Beatrice, but it would definitely just slow the deck down to maybe, you know, you wouldn't be able to use, like, the deck at its fullest potential on turn 1. You would have to wait a whole nother turn, so you would have to wait till turn 3 or turn 4 until your deck is, like, you know, truly getting there. So I think those are the good hits, although personally, I think it's just Dante should just go to 1. I think the deck will be fine, and you could probably, if you do that, bring Sir and Graf back to 3 each, and then have just only 1 Dante. But I think those are the different options that you can make with this deck. And that would be it for my Banlist prediction. Those are the things that, or at least my thoughts on what's going on in the meta right now, and what potentially should happen. There's really not that many hits if you really look at it, considering if you hit Aether and you can leave the other 2 cards, or if you just you know, hit the other 2 cards and leave the Aether, or if you just hit the Dante, or you can leave the Dante at 3. Like, there's so many reasons why there's not that much hits on this list. I think it's actually pretty good, to be honest. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but that's basically all I got to say. I want to know what you guys think, though, about all of this stuff, and leave it in the comment section below. If you guys do have any kind of criticism, please let it be constructive. And with all that said, I want to thank you guys very much for watching, and as always, take care. Until next time.